Hello and welcome to the Stack, and here are today's top stories. The first story: never underestimate the Democrats' ability to take advantage of a tragedy for their own personal political gain, and that's exactly what Barack Obama did after the horrific Texas school shooting. Obama made maybe one of the worst political statements ever, and it's totally unsurprising coming from one of the worst presidents in American history. Obama tweeted something about George Floyd. He said, as we grieve the children of the Texas school shooting, we should take time to recognize that the time that's passed since the murder of George Floyd, and that stays with us until this day. Really, Obama? You're going to take advantage of the deaths of 19 innocent children and compare it to the death of George Floyd? I mean, it's just absolutely disturbing. And Lauren Boebert, who I am a huge fan of, she had a great response on Twitter. She said that this was one of the most disgraceful statements of all time. Comparing the tragic death of young children to Floyd's death is meant for no other reason other than to elicit outrage. Obama should be ashamed. I agree. Barack Obama should be ashamed for that statement. And the second story, it's pretty interesting. The immediate thing the Democrats want to do after any shooting is call for gun control. They never want to get to the root cause of these issues. They just scream and shout because they don't actually have ideas. They just have outrage and emotion. So what do they say? Yeah, we need gun control. We got to ban assault weapons, which don't actually exist. Assault weapon isn't a real term. But the problem is when you start banning certain weapons, the evil in people's hearts isn't solved. So we have this case from, I think, Norway. Yeah, Norway. And it's a case where 5 people were killed and 11 more were injured because this guy allegedly used a knife and a bow and arrow in a store. That's right, not an AR-15, not a handgun, a knife and a bow and arrow. It's kind of similar to how last December at the Christmas parade massacre, a guy drove his car through a crowd. People don't stop committing evil acts because certain weapons are banned. You cannot legislate the evil out of people's hearts, and this is something that the Democrats just don't get. And the third story is about Andrew Pollock. Andrew Pollock's daughter, Meadow, tragically was murdered in the Parkland school shooting in 2018. And Andrew, he's actually a huge advocate of the Second Amendment, and he has a pretty simple 3-step plan to solve school shootings, school safety, and it doesn't involve banning guns. It's pretty simple. Putting armed guards at every school, having a single point of entry, and teacher training. How do you respond to an armed and active shooter situation? And maybe teachers should have guns. And instead of funding this simple 3-point plan, what do American politicians do? They ship $40 billion off to countries like Ukraine. So it's tragic what happened in Texas. We need solutions, and I don't think the solutions are that complicated, but we cannot rely on Democrats to solve them. So if you want to stay up to date on the latest Texas school shooting updates, if you want to hear the latest crazy thing that Barack Obama said, head to westernjournal.com. And before you exit out of this video, please be sure to like and subscribe.